Fluoridation of the water supply, right? I'm going to cut to the chase here, right? During the Second World War, and this is on, you can get this on Hansard Committee records, right? It was actually spoken in Parliament. It's on record, right? You can get it online if you look for it. And also in the US, on American committees, there was a US Army captain and a scientist basically testifying in front of the Senate, right, in the US and in UK Parliament, by the way, after the Second World War, right, that they were given assignments, right. They were liaison with the Soviets, and later on it was the Nazis as well. They found out later on the Nazis were doing the same. They were given massive consignments of fluoride, sodium fluoride, right, and they were putting it in the water, the food and the water of the inmates of the concentration camps and the gulags, right. The Soviets were doing it during the Bolshevik Revolution, I believe, right. They were leaving massive amounts next to the water supplies in case the peasants revolted.
Team 5 investigates after Amesbury pulls sodium fluoride from the water supply. More than 70% of U.S. cities and towns have sodium fluoride added. And in 2000, in 2006, and we've had the head of the EPA's union on, who's a top toxicologist. Over 90% of their toxicologists and scientists have sent open letters to their bosses and to the Congress saying, take fluoride out of the water. Number one, sodium fluoride's deadly poison. Number two, under the catch-all term sodium fluoride, they are adding over 150 on average, sometimes over 300, but most cities, 150 deadly chemicals. It is the toxic waste of nuclear weapons, uranium purification, aluminum production, and, of course, fertilizer production. Mercury, lead, arsenic. And they take this toxic waste that big companies, this is such a sick joke, it's got to be the biggest hoax in history. And in the 40s, when they were producing nuclear weapons secretly in Tennessee, this is all declassified, they began dumping the fluoride byproduct in the streams and rivers. And so they put out a report in the late 40s saying, let's just put this in the water supply. And if you read mainline history books about communist Russia and about Nazi Germany, it was first the Russians by the 20s had learned that if they added sodium fluoride, and it's different cofactors, there's different variants, different varieties they put in, that it is a toxic sedative. It also reduces fertility and attacks the entire body. Now, this is not my opinion. Kurt Nemo's written an article at Infowars.com that has links to the federal government, to the EPA, to Austrian university research, just to major scientific reports. It has an entire, the National Research Council, the Journal of Toxicology and Environmental Health, Agriculture Research Services. So everything I'm telling you here is on record. And you can go read how it attacks your bones and more than doubles bone cancer. It's even higher if you just look at men, but overall, averaging men and women together, a doubling. And the establishment knows we'd be living to 120 with all of these advances if they weren't poisoning the water supply and the food. And this is on record. I have the White House science czar, John P. Holdren, writing a big textbook about drugging the water and the food. We have all these globalist statements about how they want to do this. It is going on. And ladies and gentlemen, I know you are all taught that only kooks say that fluoride isn't good for you. But if you'll just go to Infowars.com and read this one article by Kurt Nemo, full of links to mainline universities and government research and even the EPA. Over 90% of the EPA's own scientists say, take it out. What are you doing? Even the American Dental Association 5 years ago said, don't have kids take fluoride pills or brush their teeth with fluoride toothpaste until age 6 because of dental fluorosis, and it weakens the teeth. It does not make them stronger. Don't believe me. Just search engine the term sodium fluoride or fluoridation of water cancer. you'll get hundreds of mainstream news articles. Okay? This is an absolute fact. And the Russians and the Nazis learned to put this in the camp slaves' water. There's a reason it seems like the average American is in a trance. You have been hit with a chemical weapon. This is a absolute fact. Now, on screen, from the not just WCVB TV report reveals fluoride added to drinking water is a deadly toxin. So what's the issue here? This isn't just about fluoride. It's about mind control and propaganda. Here's a new...
Right? Now, you can cover that, you can look into that yourself. I'm not going to cover that topic any further. Right? That one, I'm trying to cover a timeline here. So, we jump ahead after the Second World War. Alcoa, the biggest aluminium industry in the world, right? At the time, the biggest aluminium corporation. When it mined the ore for its aluminium, and also the phosphate fertilizer industry, the west coast of America, during the war effort, right? The government needed phosphorus for its bombs, aluminium for its war effort. So these corporations, when they mined the ore, right, they had to scrub it, and the byproduct was sodium fluoride, which is toxic. It's a fluorine. It's abundant all over the planet, but it is toxic to man, plant, and animal, right? They had to dispose of it as toxic waste, and they had millions of tons of it. So they did a backroom deal with the US government. They said, we will provide the phosphorus or the phosphates for your bombs, for your war effort, and the aluminium for your war effort. In return, you help us dispose of this toxic waste. Millions of tons of it. So what did they do? They dumped it in the water supply, right? Now what they did was they hired a guy, Edward Bernays, who was commissioned by Alcoa. Edward Bernays was the son of Sigmund Freud, who was a psychoanalyst, the famous psychoanalyst, right? And he wrote the book Propaganda, right? The Nazis, it basically was the Bible of Joseph Goebbels, right? During the Second World War, but it got a bad name, so they changed it. They changed the name Propaganda to Public Relations, right? Now, you can do your own research on that, but it's everywhere. Public relations is a multi-billion-dollar industry now. Cut to the chase, right? Edward Bernays hired a couple of dodgy scientists to blag the people into believing that sodium fluoride was beneficial to teeth and bones, right? And the prevention of dental caries, right? So he did a quick campaign, publicity campaign in America, propaganda campaign, right? And it was put into the water supplies of the American people, right? Then it was basically the UK, not long after that, started fluoridating certain areas in the UK, right? On the same principles, that it was beneficial to prevent dental caries. Your dentists are blagged into it as well through their indoctrination, through the training. What they didn't understand is this: fluorines are one of the most abundant elements on the planet. Calcium fluoride is arguably beneficial to teeth and bones in very small amounts, and it's already in your water at source, right? In very minute amounts, trace elements, right? Trace amounts, right? As opposed to sodium fluoride, right? Sodium fluoride is an excitotoxin, a neurotoxin, right? It is used in rat poison, right? In other pesticides. It was used to create the atom bomb, right? It is highly toxic, highly corrosive. Anybody using it, right, whether it's putting it into the water supply or whatever, has to wear full hazmat materials. It is so corrosive, it burns through concrete, right? That's how corrosive it is. A gram of it will kill you or your kid outright. That's how toxic it is. And yet they put it in a water supply, right? It is used in Prozac. It's 80% of it is Prozac, right? It is used in other drugs and petrochemical, throughout the petrochemical industry, right? As I said, it's highly poisonous, highly corrosive, and yet they put it in a water supply, right? And we are forced to ingest it. It is a form of forced medication. Now I'm going to put articles on here that you can get online again, right? I can't show the full article for the sake of expediency, but you can download them in PDF form. All you have to do is look for it, research it yourself, Fluoride is a modern toxic waste, right? It is a poison. Now, I've had arguments with dentists where they've offered us toothpaste with fluoride. I said, no, I don't want any, thank you. Well, what's the problem and all this? And I've ended up having a full-blown argument with them because they're so brainwashed into thinking that fluoride is beneficial for your teeth. Well, think about it. We're being inundated with it because it comes up through the food chain. It's in the soil. It's in a lot of vegetables, right? It's in a lot of tea, beverages. It's in your water. It's also in toothpaste. So we're actually being absolutely inundated with it, right? Now, as I said, it's a neurotoxin. It kills brain cells. It crosses the blood-brain barrier. It accumulates in the body. It cannot be excreted. So over time, it has an accumulative poison, a toxic effect, right? It is definitely linked with Alzheimer's. There's many, many tests being done worldwide. Very respected establishments as far as Japan and the US and elsewhere. And yet, again, the evidence is ignored, right? There's two main compounds, co-compounds of fluoride. One's called hexafluorosilicate. The other is, I believe, disodium hexafluorosilicic acid, right? Now, that's a mouthful, right? But I have actually been on the Northumbrian water in the past where I said I boycotted them. I would not pay me bill because I said I wouldn't pay use for the privilege of poisoning me and me kids. Now, these always have a get-out clause, right? It's written into the Water Act. The government have given water companies indemnity, right? And I suggest you research this, because this is how you can get reimbursed as well, right? In the Water Act, they're being given indemnity against lawsuit for putting fluoride in the water, right? The reason is also that the argument that the water companies give is it's outside their remit, even though they're a private water company, right? They privatise water, right? They say it's down to the Strategic Health Authority that order them to put it in, right? So therefore we have to go to Strategic Health Authorities and basically convince them that what they're doing is wrong, right? And that basically all their data is erroneous, right? Or basically totally corrupted, right? They're not being told, lies by omission, right? Which is the same with the drugs industry in general, right? But fluoride, as I said, it's highly toxic. We are forced to ingest it because it's in our water supply, and water's a precious resource. We can't survive without it. So therefore it's a kind of forced medication, right? It's also known to lower the IQ, right? And it's also known to calcify the pineal gland. Now that's a topic itself, right? There's a spiritual element to it, right? And I would advise you to look into that. It's a separate topic again. I'm not going to cover it in this, but there is a sinister tones to this, right? It calcifies the pineal gland. It also crosses the blood-brain barrier, as I said. It's known to cause cancer in young kids, especially young boys, and bone deficiency, cause brittle bones. There's a multitude. I'm going to put graphs up again, right, and articles on this screen, right, because I can't cover it all myself. I'm just sitting here ad-hocing, basically, ad-libbing. So I'm not working with script, you know what I mean? It's just a lot of it's from memory, what I'm telling you, right? But it's all documented. That's why I put the documents and use the videos on screen, just to prove what I'm saying isn't all tosh, right? So what I suggest you do is, as a remedial, as some kind of way of getting around this, if we can't, for the short term anyway, get it out of water supplies, and there's many groups you can go to. There is campaign groups online against water fluoridation. They're trying their best to get the word out to people. This is just my way of doing it. You can buy water filters, gravity water filters, such as Berkey Light. So that's like Pro Pure. There is websites you can go on which will basically filter out the fluoride. Some of them aren't cheap. You can also buy water purifiers, right, or distillers. You can get them British made. They'll cost you, well, 100 plus pounds, right, but they're well worth it, because at least you're getting pure water, and you know what's in it. Basically, you know you're getting pure water. What's coming out your tap? Poison, total toxin, right? You've got chlorine in it, right? You can smell it. I mean, I don't drink tap water now. I drink either bottled or purified water. And now if I run a tap, I can smell the chlorine in it. It smells like a swimming pool. Well, however, we're not meant to ingest that either. But as I said, the most insidious, because you can't see it, is the fluoride, right? Now remember the two core compounds I tell you, right? Hexafluorosilicic silicate and disodium hexafluorosilicic acid, right? Now Northumbrian Water basically try and blag you by saying, oh, we don't put fluoride in the water, we only put one or the other, the core compounds. Well, both of them are equally as toxic, folks, so don't listen to that blag, right? And as far as I'm concerned, everybody should boycott them and stop paying the bills, right? Because they are making you drink or ingest that water. And not only that, by the way, folks, your skin is an organ, right? So when you get a shower or a bath, you're also ingesting it that way, not just by drinking it, right? Now, the argument that they use for prevention of dental caries is actually quite spurious, right? It's asinine, in fact, right? Think about this, right? You can get it in toothpaste, right? In nearly every toothpaste, unless you look for it, right? Every toothpaste's got fluoride in it, sodium fluoride. So that topically, it goes on your teeth, right? It's a topical treatment, right? So therefore, if you want to use fluoridated toothpaste, then fine, because you're spitting it out. Whereas your body, water, it's in the water supply, you're ingesting it. It's going through all your vital organs and causing extensive damage over time, right? And again, as I said, it lowers your IQ. In fact, if you give a kid fluoride, especially, and in fact, they're so insidious, so evil, that they're putting in baby formulas as well, right? But you see, people see fluoride and automatically think, oh, well, it's good for your teeth and bones. Now, what they don't realise is the different kinds of fluorines, right? Sodium fluoride, as I said, is in rat poison. It was used by the Soviets and Nazis to dumb down the inmates of the concentration camps and the gulags, to make them, right, compliant, docile. In other words, zombify them, right? This is what you need to know, right? Everything I cover on my videos can be substantiated. All you have to do is go and research it yourself. So this is what I suggest you do. Get yourself some water filters, right? It doesn't matter about the cost, right? Because it's about your health and it's about your kids' health. That's the main thing. That's the priority, right? And until they get that out of the water, and by the way, most of the Europe, right? Every country in Europe bar Spain, the UK, and I believe one other, right? Every one of them is banned fluoridation, right? In the US, they're trying their best to get it out of the water supply, right? In different states, and they're succeeding. They're succeeding because people are starting to see common sense, right? So that's a short video. I did cut to the chase. I'm going to put articles up and links again, right? But what I suggest you do is do your research, right? Thanks for watching.